Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
But this is a test scenario. What I'm doing is, I can set up these things and then save. Before non, zero quantity allowed. For non, zero quantities are allowed. I think it's taking up to 4 levels. That's fine. What I did is now, if I go back to my inventory item, I try to refresh this. And if I select my quantity pricing schedule under this sales, instead of giving the quantities manually, what I'm doing is I'll go to sales price, scroll down, and then I click on the test schedule. Then it picks up the schedule automatically. So there is a zero quantity from 0 to 10. It is taking one schedule, 30, 40. So that is the reason I'm able to schedule 5. Because of the preference, I have set up only 5. Now if I save this as 6, if I save this as 6, then I will be able to select the other one on my quantity pricing schedule. I go to lists accounting and then go to my quantity pricing schedule again. All, and I edit this here. I can give another FIFON because I have defined as 6 levels. So it let me save. Accounting will go to the accounting preferences again. Item transactions. 6. That's will go to the lists accounting and then pricing quantity prices schedule again. Let's try to create a new one. I think it's because of that. This time what we'll do is it's the 100% discount. 500, I would say I'm going to give a 20% discount. And then after 1000 quantity, I want to give a 25% discount. So let us try and save this. Still, it is taking only. I think it's taking some time, guys. I don't know what's up with this. So that is what it is. You can set it up. Let's do one thing. Items. And then we'll try to do it manually, just taking the quantity pricing schedule. Let's go into this pricing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still additional 5. I don't know. I mean, it's taking some time, but that's... So you can select your test pricing schedule from here, and then you can specify what your quantities are automatically based on this. So I'm not giving any prices. I just give this 1000 and then it picks up everything automatically. There is I think we've given like positive, and that's the reason it's taking well than 100, 200 and 100. So which is wrong? You go to the schedule and then you have to take all these as negative discounts. This is what you've got to do. We've given all positive and it's increasing, which is wrong. So save this. Select my new trade again. So I can select this and give up base quantity, base price, and then it picks it up automatically. $1,877 based on the quantity that we have selected. Any questions on this? So I'm not going to explain the quantity pricing once again when we are doing the transactions, since we have already discussed this in detail over here. Hope it's clear. So on the inventory, require bins on all transactions on. Use preferred bin on item receipts. So as we have discussed about these bins last time around, in every warehouse, if you have visited IKEA or any store, you would have different bins for each item. They select each bin and that information is stored on a computer. So whenever you want to go and pick up this item, you have to search for that bin, where exactly that bin is. What is the bin number? And based on the bin number, you can pick up the items from there. So that is what is your required bin on all transactions except item receipts. Use preferred bin on item receipts. All these things, when you enable them by default, you have to provide what are the bins when you're doing an item receipt. So let us try and enable that. The reason why it got enabled is, I think in the enable features, we have another feature which is called as use bins. So if I go here, bin management. You see this? Since we have enabled the bin management over here on the accounting preferences, we have that preference. So do you want to make it mandatory or not? That is one of the preference. So these things are interlinked. Whatever you enable here in the enable features, you enable that here, and the preference of that particular option will be available here under the accounting preferences. Any questions? I take that as a no. Thank you. So, coming to your allow landed costs. In the last purchase price, I discussed about the landed cost. What exactly is a landed cost whenever the item is shipped by the vendor? It comes to the airport or it can come to the dockyard. It can come to your bus stand or whatever it is. So the amount you have spent to bring that from your airport to the warehouse is your landed cost. So we have already enabled the landed cost, and whenever you enable the landed cost, there is an option under the accounting which is called as track landed costs. Track landed cost. We enable it use bins. You see this? You can select this and then the bins will be used. But apart from that, I think it is because of the form. Let's go to the standard inventory part form. I'll show you what forms are. You know how different forms are created. All these things I will show you. But when you go there and you see this, so this is one of the setups for the landed cost. Whenever you want to track the landed cost on that item, you have to select track landed cost or else it will not allow you to track it. I mean, you cannot end up the landed cost on that particular item when you are purchasing it from a vendor and then payment processing. Customers can pay online. All these are the preferences that you have in a credit card. Transactions can be there. The card security code. All these things can be enabled in the accounting preferences whenever a customer is making a payment through their card or through the online payments. That is what is your payment processing all about. Any questions on that? So let's go to the order management. So under the order management, there are certain preferences that you can enable and disable. And you can set up the preferences. So what exactly is your preference? What is the default order status when you are creating a sales order? What do you want to have the status as? There are two statuses. One is pending approval and the other one is pending fulfillment. So when you select pending approval and when you're creating the sales order, initially go to the pending approval state and from there the next approver. Let that be a sales manager who would be the next approver. So it will go to that particular sales manager. He has to approve the sales order. Only then the warehouse people will be able to process the sales order. That is what your pending approval is. What is pending fulfillment? So by default, you're saying that when I create a sales order, I do not want it to be in pending state. It has to go to the fulfillment directly. Fulfillment is nothing but shipping out of the material from your warehouse is your pending fulfillment. So do you want it as pending approval or do you want to do? You want to do. You want the status to be correctly as pending fulfillment. That is what is your preference, which you can set it up here. Require reapproval on edit of sales order. What happens when you select this? Whenever you put in a sales order and save, you are making some edits on the sales order. Like you have changed the quantity or you have changed the sales price on it, unit price, or you have changed the sales tax. If you have upgraded anything, do you want this sales order to be sending out for an approval again? So usually in a business case scenario, definitely this is checked. So as a salesperson, as a sales representative, I spoke with a customer and I said this is going to be the 100. I put in a sales order and it is approved by my manager. However, if I go back and say I want to make it $2.95 again, so whenever I make that change, I want my manager to be notified once again because you don't want the sales rep to be, making changes as and when they want to. If I say $100 and I want to do a favor for that customer, so as a sales rep, I can go back and make that to $10 also once it is approved. So in a business case scenario, we do not want that to happen, and that is the reason this require approval on edit of sales order is done. So if you click open this, the field help you see this. If you edit a sales order while using a role with permission to approve sales orders, the sales order status is not set to pending approval status. So if I'm a sales manager, I have approved it, and if I edit this, it should not be going to the pending approval. Correct? But if a sales rep is making these changes, then it has to be going to the approval. Send email confirmation when sales order is cancelled. To the customer, do you want to send the emails automatically? That is what one of it is. Default location for sales orders. You might want to select any default location so that all my sales happen only from one warehouse. I do not. I do not have a sales process in the other warehouses. In that case, I can select the default location for my sales orders. This is a little tricky one, guys. Just try to understand what I'm saying now. We will see this when we are doing the transactions, but just try to understand the concept here. For the default commit option on sales orders, work orders, transfer orders. What exactly this means is there are three options. One is the available quantity. The other one is complete quantity. Do not complete, do not commit. So what is an available quantity? When I select available quantity, let us say I have a sales order for 50 quantity. However, in my warehouse at present I have only 45 quantity. So this preference is what you want to do with the sales order if you have short quantity. Short quantity available. What do you want to do with the sales order? The first option is available quantity, which means the 45 quantity is shipped out instantly. And system creates a back order for 5 quantity. And when I have the 5 quantity available in the system, which means I have created a purchase order for this 5 quantity and it took 10 days for me to get this quantity in the system. So for this, what happens is the system sends out the 45 quantity initially and then waits for my other 5 quantity to be in the warehouse. After 10 days, you will be able to process the back order. This is the available quantity concept. Clear on this? Yes. This is clear. Yes, clear. So this is called available quantity. Now, what is the complete quantity? Complete quantity. Let's take the same scenario here. I have sales order for 50 quantity again, and then in my warehouse I just have 45 quantity. So what will system do in this case? In this case, system will not fulfill 45 also. You have to wait for the complete quantity in the system. So BO has to be created. You wait for 10 days for that 5 quantity to be available. And once you have the entire 50 quantity, that is when you will be able to fulfill this sales order. Clear on this? If you select it as complete quantity, the preference as complete quantity, that is what the system will do. Then it would process only when it has the appropriate quantity available. Absolutely. The full quantity has to be there within the system and only then it will allow the sales order to be fulfilled. So till then, the order which was placed will be on hold, or what happens to that? It will be on hold. So even if you're trying to fill it, we'll say that your preferences is set up to complete quantity. Please get the complete quantity into the warehouse. Only then you'll be able to fulfill. Got. So what is do not commit? Do not commit. What this means is until you come back and make change here, like you either have to keep it available quantity or you would have to do a complete quantity. So unless you mark any one of this, the system will not do anything. The entire sales orders will be on hold. So in a business scenario, this is never selected. Oh, this is selected only when the warehouse operations are completely on hold. Got you. Any questions on that? I have a question on the initial part where the approval takes part. So do we have option to who should exactly approve the sales order? Yes, absolutely. Shut. There is something called as a workflow. So if you go to customizations, there is something called as workflow. So you can create your own workflows and you can define the roles. Who has to approve what you can create? When you're creating a workflow, you can create it on sales order. You can define various stages saying that if there is a sales order beyond $1,000, then the sales manager has to approve. If it is $5,000, that the CEO has to approve. So likewise, you can create your workflows. Thank you. Any questions on that? I'm good. Think. So you got the concept. So same concept applies for your work orders and for your transfer orders. What is a work order? Work order is nothing but your assembly order. When you are trying to create a manufacturing item order, then that is your work order. What is the transfer order? You want to transfer the inventory between one location to another, one subsidiary to another. That is what is your transfer order, and all these options are the same for all these. I mean, the concept is same. So, and then you can have 3 different stages when you want to fulfill the item. First one is a pick, pack and ship. So stages of picking up. So picking is a warehouse personnel will pick up your material. Someone is going to packing from the packing section and someone's going to ship it out. Pick, pack and ship. So these are the 3 things that you want in the order management, that is your sales process again. So and then allow overage on item fulfillments. So here again, fulfill based on commitment. So limit to committed, allow uncommitted. This is the similar scope that we were talking about. I mean, same thing that we discussed earlier. We want to limit that to committed, or do you want to allow uncommitted, ignore commitment? So let us say there is 1,000 quantity to be shipped out. So you're saying allow overage on item fulfillment, which means even if the sales order is for 1,000, you can go ahead and ship out 1010 and invoice for 1010. It will give the warehouse people to authorization to fulfill beyond what is there on the sales order. So this is what is your preference. Send out a fulfilled confirmation email to the customers. So that option is also there. Show unfilled items on the invoices. So whatever is unfulfilled, do you want to show it on the? So there are. Take same example 50. Quantity 45 tree we have shipped. But do you want to show the 5 items which have not shipped on the invoice as well as pending? So you can do that invoice in advance of fulfillment. This option, even before you ship out the 45 quantity, can you invoice your customers? If you select this, even before the fulfillment is done, you will be able to invoice the customers in advance and take the payment. So this is usually happening in case of high valued products, like in case of, let's say, a big equipment, bulldozers, tower, crane equipment. If customers want to buy them, you might want to take some advance from them. So in that case, you can invoice them in advance of fulfillment. Automatically email dropship POs. So what is a dropship and special orders? You know, we already discussed about dropship orders and special orders. There are big equipments that you don't want to keep it in your warehouse. So once a sales order is created, an attached purchase order is created for the same. And then your vendor will directly ship out the material to your customer. Instead of bringing the material into your warehouse, your vendor will actually ship it out to the customer. That is what your dropship item is. What is a special order item? Special order item is C. Usually in case of small amounts, like let's say the item is only $50 tier $1, then you buy them, keep it in your warehouse. And whenever you have an order, you sell it for higher price. Like for 50, you might sell it for 70. For 100, you might sell it for $120. But if the item cost is very high, like 1 million or something, then you select this and invoice in advance of fulfillment. You take a sales order by creating that item as a special order. So once you create a sales order, a depending purchase order is created. You take the payment from the customer for 1 million and then you pay to your vendor for just, let us say, 2.8 million only. And once you make the payment, you get the equipment into your warehouse and then you will ship it out to your customer. That is what is your special order item is all about. So we'll discuss them in a while. We are creating the purchase orders for you. But that is what happens when you mark the items as special orders. And where exactly can you mark them? You go to Items New. So you can either mark an item as special order or dropship. You cannot have both of them. So scroll down. See this? You can mark it as dropship, and when you mark it as special order, the other one goes off like this. You can make an item cannot be both special order and dropship item. It can be either of them. Questions? Any questions on that? So for a dropship item, what we're saying is do not allow unequal quantities. So if a customer wants 10 quantity, then the vendor should be able to ship only 10, not 9 or 11. Because we are not getting those into our warehouse. The vendor is the one who will do that. So we are not allowing the vendor to actually do that. Allow expenses on purchases. When you want to do a purchase order, when you are entering a purchase order, there are two tabs. One is an expense tab and the other one is an item tab. You see this. This is what I was referring to. So since you have enabled that expenses over here, that is why you see the expense tab, or else this will not be seen over here. So on a purchase order, you either can choose an item or you can just say an expense category. Also can be done. So what I'm saying is I purchased, my team has gone for a dinner. So I can just put in a purchase order with that expense account saying that there is a 100 bill for my team which had lunch. So I can show that as an expense directly on the expense tab if you enable this feature. questions. The earlier preference was for the sales orders wherein, we were saying allow overage on fulfillments. Here it is allowing overage on item receipts. So there is a 10 quantity purchase order. Do you want to allow receiving more than that or not? So sometimes what happens is vendors will send a quantity which is higher than what you have ordered. So in that case, you can change the quantity to higher. So if you order 12, he has sent 15. So you can say 15, you can receive and you can bill for 15 directly. If you allow this, allow overage on item receipts. I think we are almost at the top of the hour, but these are all different preferences that you have. I mean, these are, when you go through these preferences, they're very easy to understand as well. So what is depending return authorization status? Do you want it as pending fulfillment or do you want more? Pending receipt or do you want pending approval? Same thing. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.